of a DAX, and we complete almost all categories. We are going to complete the remaining 3 categories. So today's session we are going to start with the time intelligence functions. The time intelligence functions are most commonly useful functions as part of any reporting. If you go with the Tableau, if you go with the ClickView or any reporting tool, except these functions, no reporting will be there. Okay. So what it is used to refer, or what kind of things it is going to helpful to you is, if I want to see an analysis like what are the sales on this year so far, or this month so far, if I want to search, or what are the sales if I want to see based on the last year to this year comparison, last month to this month comparison, last year to this year growth, it might be high or low. In order to check all those things, or last year what are the sales, or last quarter what are the sales, last month or next year. So whenever I am analyzing at 2016 or 2015 data, what is this year, what is last year, what is previous next year, if I want to see that kind of data, we have time intelligence functions are there. And most of that, like any reporting tools or analysis tools, if you see, there are some reportings are coming, like are displaying, you have an option with provided today, yesterday, last month, last year, last 6 months. It was provided with that many options. So whenever you click on last day, it need to showcase yesterday's data. Last month data it need to showcase. Last year data it need to showcase. So in order to perform all these calculations, we are going to use the time intelligence functions. So those are the very, even whatever you done like last 4 classes, even if you are unable to understand, fine. From here, whatever you are going to learn in next 2 days of time, that is going to useful as part of your projects or a live environment. Whatever we have done like string functions and all those functions are already there in SQL Server everywhere. That is not a big matter. Whatever we are going to learn now, 90% those functions will be there, 90% those will define your expert. It might be filter functions, or it might be context related filter functions, it might be time intelligence functions. Only 2 categories of functions are there. If you practice DAX, you need to practice these 2 things. Now we'll start with the time intelligence. Just give me a second. This DAX course. Before explaining the time intelligence functions, I need to explain one function called calculate. There is a function called calculate. First you will understand what is the functionality of this function. Then after we'll look into time intelligence functions. Okay. So here calculate function will take a 2 parameters. I hope all are able to hear me, understand from here very clearly. From here onwards the class is starting. Understand from here very clearly. There is a function called calculate which will perform a calculation. Nothing wrong there, so it is going to perform a calculation. But here what it is going to do is, it will take a 2 parameters, expression and a filter. Expression and a filter. So it is used to perform a calculation by applying this filter. Let's assume you want to perform a sum, but I want to exclude some values. I don't want to consider the complete column sum. So whenever you are writing a sum, what you are going to do, like let me load the data. So here, thanks much Krishna. Okay, fine. So here, as part of this table, sales data table, if you want to perform a sum, what you are going to do? You are going to write a one measure saying that boss sum of amount paid. You are going to mention sum of amount paid. I require sum of amount paid, that is fine, but I want to calculate the sum of amount paid for a one specific business condition. I don't want to include everything. I want to exclude some things. Okay. I want to exclude something. The same KPI I am going to use as part of my report 15 times. As part of my report, which contains a 5 or 10 pages or 5 pages, I am going to use the same value 15 places or 10 places. I am going to use a one KPI, which is a sum. But the sum is going to exclude some values. That has a business requirement that boss, if the amount paid is less than this much, exclude that one. I don't want to showcase that one. There I am not going to get the money, so I am like the business is not going to get profit there. If the amount paid is this much, exclude. Or if the amount is coming from that region or that place, exclude. We are not going to consider that as a profit or that amount. So you have one business requirement is there. Based on that business requirement, only that KPI will be represented as part of a report, complete all the places. Okay. So now, if you have a requirement like that, we need to calculate a sum. We need to calculate a sum or account based on one business requirement, and only that KPI we are going to use at 10 places in our report. If that is a requirement, without discussing about a calculate, we can achieve it by applying a filter. I will create a sum here, and I will use this KPI as part of a report in all the visualizations. In each visualization, wherever I am using, I apply a filter, where the amount paid is greater than this, or not in this region, or something else, I will provide a condition. I can achieve that one, but why I need to do it at 10 places? I know that my KPI is fixed. I know that I am creating that KPI based on the business requirement. The business said that boss don't include all these things, and I know that I am going to use that KPI 10 places. In that scenario, why I need to calculate overall without requiring wing, and then after what is the need to apply a filter for each visualization 10 places, for each visualization 2 or 3 filters 10 places, what is the need? So that will not help me whenever I am analyzing. If a defect or bug comes, I need to remember all those filters at the time of analysis. So why I need to do all much rework? Why can't I apply a filter at the time of calculation itself? If you want to perform the calculation, if you want to apply a filter at the time of calculation, you have an option called calculate. Calculate function is there. So what calculate function is going to do is, it is going to evaluate an expression. It is going to evaluate an expression by applying a filter. So now, the overall amount paid we have been observing from a long time. So let's create a measure for it also. A new measure. I will ask questions also. Please conscious everyone. Anyone I can call. Sum of the amount paid, and based on this I will give a task also. So sum of amount paid, I am saying that amount paid is one of the measure I am calculating. Sum of amount paid I am calculating. So this amount paid measure, what it is going to do is, it is going to calculate the sum of the complete column, which we have been retrieving without measure also. Now what I want is, I want to calculate the sum excluding a city called Pune, or excluding a city called Pune, and where the amount paid less than 200, I don't want to include it. Where the amount paid less than 200, I don't want to include. That is a condition. Then if you want to calculate like that, Instead of creating a visual like measure and applying it a filter it a visualization, what you can do is you can write you can write a measure you can write a measure, mention that calculate bus I require the sum, or you already calculated the sum, that amount paid, you can use that measure. And you need to say that you need to provide a filter that bus the amount paid must be greater than 200, or apply any condition whatever your business requirement is. If not one, you can apply multiple conditions. Okay, so here amount paid greater than 200. So I create one measure. Let's see what are these values are returning. The amount paid greater than 200, and it is showcasing that 55k, and amount paid 58k it is showcasing. Okay, so we are excluding the 200 over here, or if you consider any table, or if you consider any table, if you get the amount paid column over here, it is giving you the complete value of 58080. But if you apply a filter that bus I require, one second, I don't know why it is not expanding. Let me add some other measure. So I must enter dimension. So here the amount paid is greater than 200. I am mentioning. Apply. Amount paid greater than 200. Okay, fine. Amount paid. I want to apply a condition. It is not expanding. Give me a second. Here I want to apply a condition that I want to retrieve the information only the amount paid greater than 200. I don't know why it is not getting filtered. So anyways, we don't care about that one. Just give me a second. $58.0. This filter is not happening as it is a column, or I am not sure. State level. If you want to over explore, like this will happen. Nothing is getting filtered. There is some issue, like there might be some limitation, whatever. So ignore this one. Okay. So I have two methods were calculated. Okay. So as you know that there is a limitation with that columns and measures. So I calculated the measure over here. The amount paid for this measure, the calculation is nothing but the sum of amount paid. Sum of amount paid, and you can see that 58k. And I have a business requirement that I need to represent only the amount paid is greater than 200. So for that I used a calculate function and I calculated more than 200. So instead of creating a visualization and applying like creating a measure, then after applying a filter on top of it is greater than, as it is a measure it will work differently. So it's having some problem, I'm not sure why it is, but ignore it. So it is not getting filtered. But so if you want to apply the same condition on a visualization, it will take unnecessary effort. You need to apply the filter in a multiple places. Instead of doing that, at a measure level itself you can apply a filter and you can exclude whatever you don't want. That is how I am done, and I extracted the values greater than 200 and I calculated a sum, and wherever I require I will use this measure. Instead of using this measure and applying a filter, I can use this measure. But you are unable to practically verify whether this value is correct or not. What I can do is, for you, so let me copy the complete table, copy table, and over here I am saying that the amount paid is greater than 200. Now you can see that 54800, 54800, that is what we are representing as a 58k. Okay, so it is getting calculated, but I am not sure why the tool is behaving odd. Like whenever I am applying a filter, it is not getting filtered. But we don't care. So this is what the context. The context is, instead of applying a filter at a visualization level, if you have a strong defined KPIs are there, you need to exclude or you need to apply some filters on your KPI, on your methods. Instead of applying a filter at a report level, you can apply a filter at your measure calculation level with the help of a calculator. The calculate function is going to calculate the expression whatever you given, and it can consider the filters. You can apply a filters there. So it is going to apply the filter operation, and then after on top of the result set it is going to perform a calculation. That is how we calculated this one. Calculate the sum of amount paid we mentioned. On top of it we verified, we took only the values greater than 200. So for that values only the amount paid was calculated and getting displayed here. That is what the calculate function functionality. Calculate function is going to calculate an expression by applying a filter. Whatever the condition that you have, you can apply that condition. The records which are satisfying that condition, it is going to evaluate an expression. It might be count of records, it might be some min max whatever. So it is going to apply a filter. The records which are satisfying that condition will be evaluated with the expression whatever you provided. That is what the functionality of calculate. Clear with that? Or anyone has any questions on it? Arpit, Krishnaveni, and Jahnavi, and other people. Manasa, Kalpana, Satish, Rashekar, Srinivas. If Rashekar is speaking, I am unable to hear, or if Manasa is speaking, I am unable to hear.
Srinivas, do you
Anyone has any questions?
Srinivas, this is Jahna here. Srinivas, can you hear me?
People don't have who don't have question mention no there. Clear, Rashekar? Satish, don't hold the things till the class end. Once the class end, like again, don't ask that. Can you please explain the complete thing?
Hello?
If Jahanavi is speaking, I'm unable to hear. So she's on mute.
Hello?
Jahanavi, go ahead.
Srinivas, if I wanted to filter according to the city, suppose you have mentioned with the city and as well as with the amount we can filter, right? So can you briefly explain about it?
Still, I'm unable to hear you. Is someone able to hear?
Yeah, she's asking if she wants. You're able to hear me, right?
Srinivas, can you hear me now?
Even if Krishna is speaking, I'm unable to hear.
Is it?
Yes, you people are speaking.
Srinivas, can you hear me now?
Now? You are?
So yes, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able to hear you, but you are able to hear us?
Now I'm able to.
Jahnavi, go ahead.
Srinivas, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, actually what I asked is, you have mentioned with the city name also we can filter, right? So you said with the calculate function we can implement multiple filtrations.
Yes, yes.
Like here you have calculated with the amount greater than 200 and
Hmm.
amount paid. So I
Hmm.
wanted to know with the city as well in the same calculation.
Hmm.
Briefly explain about it.
If you want to apply another condition,
Yes.
yes, you need to use AND operator. You can use and you can apply the same condition over here, comma whatever the city name that you want to mention. So DAX expressions are case sensitive. So the expression contains multiple columns, but only a single column can be used in a true or false. So what you can do is you can separate the condition. You can see. So for a Pune greater than 200, the overall amount paid is 2000. If you want, you can validate the same from here. So I already applied one condition over here and set the another condition here as a Pune. You can see that we have only 2000 are there, 4 records. That is what came here. So you can apply a multiple conditions over here by comma separated. Clear, Jahan? Clear?
Yes, Srinivas, clear. Thank you.
Yeah. So that is what the calculate functionality. It will calculate your aggregation by applying some filters. Now this is going to play a crucial role as part of your calculations called time intelligence. Understand? That's why I explained this one. Okay. So whenever you are calculated yesterday, last month, last quarter, last year, so all the places it will help you. So now the next category of functions are time intelligence functions. So time intelligence functions, like as I already conveyed, so most commonly used functions. So here let me load the data.
Srinivas, we are not able to see your screen. I'm not able to see.
Okay. Because I stopped, you are unable to see.
Okay, fine, fine.
I require just loading the data set. I shared my screen again. Okay, fine. If anyone configured adventure works, like dim date and factor current fields will be there. Otherwise, I will share this Excel for a practice purpose. So just give me one more second. Okay. So I loaded two tables from Adventure Works. Those are, one is fact internet sales and second one is dim date. And here, like I'm creating a relation between these two tables. Like order date key, I'm having relation with full date alternate key, alternate key here. So date key is that value which we need to give a relationship. Okay, so I took dim date and fact tables. Now we are going to work on all our time intelligence functions over here. So as part of them, the first functions are total MTD, total QTD, total YTD. So these are the three common functions that we used to use for all the reports, which is nothing but, before telling this one, there is a concept called running total. Running total. So running total means we are going to capture the total from a specific place and we are going to close it until a specific place. So if you say the total of amount paid irrespective of a dimension of, it might be date, city, state, anything, we are calculating from the beginning to till now what is the sales amount we are saying. It is showcasing in a report that 58k, 55k, it is showcasing 58k. 58k is fine for how many years? This year how much? Last year how much? So if you want to speak, you need to use another dimension or another filter. But I don't want to use any other filters. I want to see in my dashboard this year till today how much, or last year till this period how much I got it. In order to calculate, we need to use a concept called running totals. So running totals is not going to give the total from the beginning. Based on a period, it is going to start. From a specific period, it is going to start. From a January 1st to December 31st, it is going to calculate a sum. Or a January 1st to March 31st, it is going to calculate a sum. Once the March 31st is done, April 1st onwards, again it will start from a freshly. So these things we used to call it as a running total. Okay, so these totals will be calculated based on a specific period and it is going to close until a specific period. It is not going to calculate from the beginning to till date. Okay, that is what running total. Now this running total concept is available as part of total MTD, QTD, YTD. MTD is nothing but month to date. If someone asks you like month, it's a month to date, quarter to date, year to date. So what MTD will do is, whenever you are using a MTD, it will start the calculation or sum from the first day. It is going to add each and every day sum it is going to perform. Once the month end is completed, the sum will be closed. Next month, again it will start from a fresh. So for each month, the total will be calculated separately. That is what the functionality of MTD. If it is a QTD, for each quarter, the sum will be performed. If it is a YTD, for each year, the sum will be performed. So for that, we'll understand these three things clearly, then after the remaining things will be very easier. So here, the total YTD function or MTD function, so we have a fact table which contains like all these records, like you can see what data that you have. So fact table is having a records, product key, order date, due date, ship date. Ignore these things, for another purpose I loaded. You just need to understand sales amount. We are calculating this, we are going to calculate the sales amount. Which table it is, fact internet sales or not? It's not a fact internet sales, I feel. Okay, fine. So this is that one only. It was ordered. Okay, fine. So now on this table we are going to perform what is the overall sales amount, what is the MTD, what is QTD, what is YTD, you will understand. So this is the sales amount. I am calculating the MTD. Understand the behavior of MTD. So here there is a function called total MTD, which will accept two things. One is the expression what you want to calculate. I want to calculate the sum of the sales amount. As part of a standard, you use MTD, QTD, YTD, some other D, whatever. We always use a sum. So for that, instead of evaluating the sum each and every place, evaluate once the sum of sales amount under a fact table. Sales amount calculated as S underscore amount of mentioning sales amount. So it is going to calculate the overall sum. Then after, I am calculating MTD. New measure sales MTD equal to like total MTD. What it is going to do is it is going to evaluate an expression. What expression? We already calculated the amount, the measure. I want to give this measure as input, and based on what the MTD, how you want to calculate, or on what date you want to calculate, you need to mention the date column. So our date column is nothing but a primary key. In a date table, in a dim date, we have a primary key called, calendar. Instead of date key, let me give the date key only. Date key, which is going to contain unique values. Total MTD I calculated with the help of the amount expression and what date you need to consider. So click on enter. So we calculated MTD measure and understand what is the behavior of it. Now let's take one table, and I'm taking that MTD measure and a sales amount both. Sales amount and MTD both I calculated. 1 second. So calculation error and specify the column date MTD is not a type of date. The call to function dates MTD. Give me a second. We need to consider this one, full date alternate key under so this is the primary key. Now I am using the measures that we calculated. And I am using the date column. So here lim date from a 2005 we have the data, but in order to understand better, we will filter for only 1 year. like whenever we are dealing with MTD and QTD at year level, that is fine. So for now, let me filter down with the day, as it is a month level function, day and month will be fine, and I require only 1 year of data. So I want to see for only, let's consider 2010. We don't have 2010, okay, fine. Okay, so 2007. Okay, fine. So here, understand this MTD function. So what I am representing is 2000, like 10 sales we are representing, and as part of it, each day, in a January month, the first day, second day, third day, the sales amounts are representing over here. The sales amount each day, how much the sales amount is representing here. So what MTD function will do is, it is going to calculate, it is going to calculate the sum of these things, and it is going to display here. What happened? It is not going to calculate. So just give me a second. Just give me a second. This amount, due date. Give me 1 minute. It is having a lot of issues. So this is my fact table. So let me load it to here so that will be easy to explain. $2,000 records are unable to capture. What the heck? Give me a minute. I will clearly explain. Okay, so I'm stopping the recording and I'm starting from here freshly.